All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to a brand new revived episode of Movie Talk. We haven't done one of these in how long has it been, dudes?
4 score and 7 years ago.
That's as
Been a
far as you
while,
know
I'm
that
sure.
y'all, and we have the same set of characters here that were here when we first started this. I think the last time we did this was in Twitch back in 2023. It was 2 years ago since we did this last episode. And so we're gonna do a whole new reintroduction to everybody here. So we have two of them on camera. We'll start up from the top. We have my boy Freddie, and he's from Digital Bytes. He's currently doing a podcast called Words from the Den, and you can find that on Spotify, Apple, and what was the other one? Podomatic.
Yeah, definitely problematic.
Cool. All right, perfect. And then we have my buddy here, George. He runs Instagram page called Hypeline Supply. You can definitely find him on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
And you want to let us know what you can find on that page?
You can find vinyl. You can find sneakers. You can find electronics, tech. You name it.
Drugs.
Help you guys, find whatever you need.
There you go. Perfect. Oh, and
Supply
then
you with whatever you need, man.
and before we introduce Bat Night, I wanted to ask Freddie if he can let us know what else we could find on his podcast.
Oh man. So Digital Bytes is just a group of friends, man. We just talk about the latest pop culture, movies, games, whatever really comes to mind, right? We I try to be as trendy as possible as far as like what's going on during that week, and kind of veered off with the words from the den. That one is it's a limited episode series. It's just more personal. Um, Kind of connecting one, trying to connect with certain topics, right? Like things that we go through and stuff. And so I'm just kind of throwing out a feeler for that one. See how if it picks up, and I would say garners enough views, maybe it'll be something that I'll venture in. If not, at least it was a nice run. Definitely a lot of, at least right now I'm on. We just finished our third episode with Mr. Pipeline Supply George, and it was a good one. That one,
Mhm.
and so yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, that last episode really hit the nail for me because I'd suffered from a lot of anxiety myself ever since COVID. So that one did it. It was a really good one. So I really enjoyed that episode.
Oh, I'm glad you did it, guys.
And then, and of course, last but not least, we have Bat Knight, aka Jake.
Am I a real boy, Papa? Hi, how's it going, people?
It's been a minute since we've seen this boy on Twitch, but now he streams on Discord, I believe, right?
No.
Oh, okay, we stopped that too.
No, honestly, I've been lazy when it comes to my content. I have a TikTok that I've sort of tried to get that ball rolling again. It's a lot of fun. I do edits for Dragon Ball Legends. It's a mobile game that I play. I do the edits myself. So trying to get that ball rolling again, trying to get that high, as you can say. And of course, hoping to get my Twitch back up and running. Hashtag Bat9005 2026 return.
There you
Just
go.
kidding. 2025.
I
And
say
I feel,
shout out
and
to the poster back there.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember when he got that poster with all those cards up there.
That's right.
But definitely check him out on TikTok. His content is pretty hilarious. And then of course you got
Appreciate that.
myself, Sam. I run the Fixated
Ooh.
channel. Get out
I'm
of here,
just
dude.
kidding.
We focus a lot on retro gaming on that page, and a lot of mainly retro gaming. I try to venture off to other stuff, but the main thing is retro gaming. So if you're into it, you're definitely going in the right path there. Of course, you guys are gonna find all their accounts, all their socials on the description box below. So please give them a follow as soon as you hear this episode, and hopefully, you guys will like what you
Please.
hear tonight, along with the other content they have to offer over there on their pages. All right, perfect. So today's conversation that I wanted to bring up for movie talk was about animation. And the reason I'm bringing it up and the reason I was revived with it is because I went to go see the new Looney Tunes movie, the day the Earth blew up. and it was the first Looney Tunes movie that has been released in theaters in a really long time. And just, being able to enjoy that movie on the silver screen and actually watching traditional animation, I was like, what is this? What we've been missing all these years? I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've been a little saturated when it comes to the CGI films. I actually do miss the traditional animation. I mean, all of us grew up watching, the Disney movies and hand drawn animation, along with cartoons, Looney Tunes, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all that good stuff, right? So I guess my question to each of you guys is, do you guys love the traditional animation as much as I do, or or is this something that you feel like is something that needs to just disappear altogether? And whoever wants to start it off first.
I would say I'm a weird mix of both. Here's why. Because Freddie and I were actually talking about this before we started this episode. There are a lot of YouTubers that I've seen. Just to name a couple, there's Meat Canyon, and then there's a studio called Glitch. They are polar opposites when it comes to their content because Meat Canyon, he posts videos at least like maybe once a month or something, but he's doing hand drawn animation. And if you know Meat Canyon, it's a preferred taste. I will say that
Okay.
it is definitely preferred taste. Explicit warning, just saying. But anyways, then Glitch, they're the polar opposites because their animation is 3D. And I love that. I love them both, so to speak, because with the 2D animation, it feels like you can get away with a lot of things. You can make things look as bouncy, as stretchy, as even grotesque as you can with 2D. And with 3D, you're kind of stuck to these models because it's like if you were to try to stretch a ball, you can only stretch it so far before it breaks. But with a 2D animation, you could stretch that guy for miles.
Right.
You could stretch for miles. You can make it do a whole bunch of crazy things. You can make it look like somebody else entirely. And for me, it's like I can appreciate both, but I'm also like you, where it's like nowadays we've had so many 3D animated projects, whether that's Disney, Pixar, even DreamWorks has, completely dove headfirst into 3D animation. But I'm ready for 2D to make a comeback.
I agree with you on that one because I mean, like I do love the CGI animation. Like I fell in love with it when I first saw it. I think the first movie was Toy Story. That's when it came out. And I mean, just seeing that on the big screen for the very first time back in 1995 was intense. Like we never thought in our lives we'd actually see a full length animated film all done with computers. But that was also where the end of animation began because once the audiences started seeing that kind of animation, they were like, okay, so we've evolved, so we're done with traditional animation, and that was also a heartbreak for myself because once that happened, I think the last hand drawn Disney film we saw was The Princess and the Frog, and
Yep.
they tried bringing it back once, and I guess it didn't hit the audiences like they wanted, and then never came back. So I mean, that hurt my heart knowing that we would never see a traditional animation again. George, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jake. I would say I've always liked both 2D and 3D animation. You know, when I think of 2D, I think of all the classic like Disney films, right? Uh, all the way from like Lion King and then further back, right? Like uh yeah, I mean, even if you think about just Lion King itself, it's one of the all-time greatest, you know, 2D animated movies. They've tried to do it in 3D, right? Like the sort of the live action, which I feel like it's always that's kind of where I'm sort of in between because you can have the 2D animation, it looks great. You can see the expressions on the characters. But you kind of lose that once you start going to that sort of um, 3D animated CGI, or even just making it look, real, that realistic animation,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I do enjoy seeing that too, and just seeing how technology can kind of push those boundaries and see where it goes. So, there are pros and cons to it. So,
Right. And Freddie, what do you think?
Well, I'm a bit conflicted, right? Because I would think everybody here, we grew up on 2D animation, and
mhm.
once we started getting introduced in 3D, of course, I was like, wow, that's really cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially like Toy Story. That was definitely a breakthrough at that time of seeing 3D animated things, and it creates a whole new world, right? Because just like, wow, like I can actually see a whole environment,
Mm-hmm.
and especially, you also got to take for a fact that we're moving from Super Nintendo to N64, PlayStation, right? Where we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing these 3D graphics.
Mm-hmm.
So we're I would say the world is jumping into this whole world of 3D animation
Mm-hmm.
full on, and so we're getting exposed to this. And um, I agree. There's definitely pros and cons to it. Where I do enjoy the 3D animation things, especially when I think we're as far as animation goes, it can be very smooth. It can be great, but really the important part, or at least the central part, is the story behind it, right?
Right.
Because you can create a great animation, it could be the most smoothest thing, but if you got a really sucky story behind it, then that's probably the last time you're going to see that movie, right? Because it's just like I don't. Yeah, this looks great, but I mean the
Mm-hmm.
story sucks. So why do I want to get into this? Um, and so but in this case that we're looking into between 2D and 3D, I do miss the 2D factor as far as like Jake was saying. I would say while 3D can possibly do that, stretch imaging and stuff, but I feel like it's more fluid on a 2D
Mm-hmm.
it way. Just like Looney Tunes, all these other where they'll I mean, even like let's say Roadrunner and Coyote, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he gets squished and you see him splatter all over the film, and it's funny, right? It's great, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's I feel like it's more inviting rather than if you saw it in 3D, it might not be as funny. It's just like okay, he got squished, but they add more. I would say there's something about the 2D imagery animation where um it could just be the details behind it that just makes it so much more attractive to see. And we could be also everybody could be old heads, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
just we just love stuff that in the past that we grew up with. And but um I would say it'll be great to see maybe a comeback
Mm-hmm.
with 2D animation. Now that anime has reached a bigger audience, um, I would say that could be a form, even though I know there is some 3D aspect to some of the stuff that they do um, through anime, but it is a possibility that through there that could help the audience gain more traction of liking 2D things, because I mean, I'm looking at a list of movies here from the past, especially from Disney
Mm-hmm.
and even other studios. Like, do you remember guys the Iron Giant?
Oh
You
man.
know, yeah,
Great
you
movie.
know,
Man.
yeah, I remember crying as a kid watching that one. But the animation was great. You
Yeah.
were into it.
Mm-hmm.
You were even like I think one of the Disney movies that I guess kind of pushed that boundary, which also made it kind of a little bit eerie in a way, was Dumbo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dumbo had a lot of interesting scenes that maybe growing up we didn't really think about, but now I think about it, I was like, man, that looks kind of a little off, but but it's just but it's just the fact that you have so much to play with
Mm-hmm.
on a 2D animation, right? Because
Yeah.
basically it's the person creating the image rather than using 3D models to you know do
Mm-hmm.
what you want. You got so much. I feel like you have more creative freedom
Mm-hmm.
with a pencil, right, or like a whatever they use to design these things, and it's really what the mind whatever your mind expresses, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice for me to see kind of more movies coming back in that fashion,
Yeah.
just to I would say throw a little bit of balance. But I do feel that 3D animation has really been a thing, and maybe for me, I think it's really about the audience, right? You
Right.
know, the kids nowadays love 3D animation,
Mm-hmm.
and so those are the people that are gonna grow up as becoming adults and really sticking to that. Maybe they may have a group that will look back at 2D and say, hey, this is actually cooler.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of the world is gonna stick to 3D animation
Right.
just because that's the I mean, financially, that's been kind of one of the I would say money makers, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you think about Shrek, Shrek series itself is a good example of how popular it became, and
Mm-hmm.
and so it's yeah, it's an interesting topic, but I would like it would be nice
I I
to
agree
see
with you on
2D.
that. That if we had a balance between the 2D and 3D animation, I would appreciate that even more. The one thing that I love about Japan, especially, is that their animes they stick to hand drawn animation, even though they try to add a little bit of 3D into it. You can still tell that it's hand drawn, you know. And then you get to see that on the big screen whenever they do their limited releases, like Dragon Ball or Demon Slayer. When they release those in theaters, you're kind of watching those movies on the big screen with hand drawn animation, and little things like that is what I miss, is being able to watch those people actually drawing with their own real hands, and like showing us what they can do with them. I'm not saying that 3D is something that needs to go away completely, because I mean, as the years gone by, 3D animation has gotten even more gorgeous. Like the latest Shrek movie, the new Puss in Boots movie. I don't know if you guys saw the Wild Robot, um, and Spider Man. I mean, beautiful animation for 3D.
Right.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, now that I've seen the new Looney Tunes film on the silver screen, I'm like, oh, I want it back.
No, I feel you. I would say, one thing to try if you have a moment is to rewatch Toy Story
Mm-hmm.
in its raw form,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell how far 3D has gone.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I agree with you. It would be nice. I don't like I said, I don't know, what 3D has definitely taken, I would say, the seat as far as being a primary type of experience. But if there's studios out there that are willing to risk that, I would say willing to try 2D animation,
Mm-hmm.
I welcome it. I know there's still a lot of us, right, that would love to see those type of movies still.
Yeah, and I saw The Lion King when they re-released it in theaters a couple months ago, and it literally took me back to 1990s, the 1990s. I think it's 94 when the movie came out. And
Mhm.
oh man, it took me back to when I saw that film as a kid, and I'm like, oh, how I miss these days. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've already jumped into the third topic I had, was if you guys think that it should make a comeback, or if modern audiences should just leave it as a relic of the past. I don't know if there's something else you guys want to add into that, Jake, George.
You want?
Mainly, I'm sorry, George. I
No, no,
would
go ahead. Go ahead.
say if you're gonna try to implement the both, try to find the happy medium, because I was doing research earlier, like different animations, movies, and animation styles, and I came across a movie called Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Netflix movie, and I was looking at a lot of behind the scenes. That movie, even though it looks like a CG movie, was hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So that movie was hand drawn, but what they implemented was 3D lighting techniques to make it look like it was a CG animated film.
Okay.
So it's stuff like that where if you find that happy medium, you can have, a gem
Mm-hmm.
on your hands. And, you know, Sam, going back to the Puss in Boots and animation styles of like the Spider-Verse movies, those are kind of groundbreaking because it feels like they're also finding that happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
And where they can kind of bring back some of that broken style. Because if you look at like frame by frame, how in the Spider Verse, like when Spider Punk came through, or Hobie, when he came through the first time around, apparently he was animated in a completely different animation style. For example, I think Miles was animated on threes or something like that, which means every third frame he moves. Whereas Hobie, he's every 2 frames. So they had to do that and then sort of not create a new animation style, but adapt that type of animation to where he looks like he's like on a newspaper. So there's a lot of techniques that can be found with that. And I would love for just find that happy medium. If we do that, I think we're gonna succeed as far as like other studios and animations, and not cancel projects, because I feel like that's also a thing that's happening too, especially with a company who shall not be named, Warner Brothers. They love to cancel a bunch of projects.
Yes.
Like the biggest one was the Wiley versus Acme movie. That one was canned. And the one that broke my heart the most, because you see that guy?
Yeah.
Guy? I love this guy. I love this character. This is my favorite character in all the DC films. And the guy that came after him, Terry McGinnis for Batman Beyond, I love that guy.
Yeah.
And in fact, the thing that broke my heart was when Warner Brothers revealed that, oh, we were going to have a Batman Beyond movie in the animation style of Spider-Verse. We had a concept completely animated to show, and concept art that was ready, and we decided, you know what, we're not going to do it. Let's just throw it away. You see Freddy, you see his face.
Yeah.
We had something when it came to that. We had something, but it's just the biggest misconception is people think animation equals cartoon equals child, when it's like, no, this is not just for kids. Yeah, maybe back then it has been, but you have these old studio executives where they're like, this is a cartoon, no one's gonna watch it. It's like even with this movie that you just said at the beginning, Sam, The Day the Earth Blew Up. I found out about it on TikTok, dude. Not a commercial, not a billboard, not any kind of promotion at all. It's nothing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, these guys, they have no faith. They give this movie a vote of no confidence. And it's going to fail because of that. It's not going to make the money that they wanted to make. And they're going to label it as a failure, and they're going to blame it on 2D animation, which is the worst part. So I don't know. Like, my whole point is, if we find that happy medium somewhere with 2D and 3D animation, I feel like everything is going to be not better, but it's going to be nicer, so to speak.
All right. So before we jump into that controversy with Warner Brothers, because I want to get further into that topic, and I know Jake has a lot to say about that one, especially. George, what do you think about the question that was asked before? Should it stay away as a relic in the past, or should we just try to bring it back slowly?
No, I think there's room for it to have both animation styles, 2D and 3D. There's a lot of creators out there that want to try out different things, right? Try new techniques, different animation styles, whether it's 2D or 3D. And I think that's always going to be the case. But yeah, kind of like what Jake said, you got these old studio heads that who are in charge of making these decisions and saying yes or no to a project. I mean, eventually those guys either aren't going to be around in the future, because you got these new people that are who are probably taking over that will make better decisions or better calls in that sense. Because I was thinking of, and I think I've told you this about a few weeks ago, maybe, Sam, about like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus.
Yes.
That animated series was awesome. Animation style was awesome. I don't know if any of you guys got to watch that series, but that was great. And Disney gave it a second season already. Gave it the green light for a second season. And then I was also thinking about DC Studios with James Gunn, the Creature Commanders Commandos, sorry, excuse me, series. I don't know if you guys seen that one. Awesome,
I've heard that one was
awesome.
amazing too.
Um, so those animated, yeah, they look, kind of like what you guys mentioned. When people think of animation, like 2D animation, oh, it's cartoons, children.
Mhm.
But those shows were not for strictly for children.
Right. Well, another
Uh,
one that it's X-Men '97. That's another one.
yeah, exactly. X-Men '97, great series as well. So I think there is place for both,
Mhm.
and I think there will always be place for both. It's just the people that make those decisions on whether to greenlight or a series or a film.
Mhm.
It kind of course, comes up to them being the last person to say yes or no. But there will be always creators, artists that will come up with amazing ideas
Right.
and amazing concepts and stuff like that. So
Mhm. Yeah. So I
so
mean,
don't worry, guys, don't worry.
so I wanted, and now that we've discussed the thoughts on that one, I wanted to actually come back to what Jake brought up earlier about Warner Brothers and the controversial cancellations of certain projects, including the Coyote versus Acme. A few weeks ago, it was announced that Ketchup Entertainment brought that film back to life. They bought the rights to the film after freaking Warner Brothers canceled it for like a tax write off or something. Is what they were saying. So they did the same thing with the new Looney Tunes film, the one that just came out. Ketchup released it, and like Jake said, the movie didn't get a lot of advertisement. It was either by word of mouth, social media, TikTok, or the voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy and Porky and all them. Eric Bauza, I believe is what his name is. He's the one who's been pushing this film to grow, you know, and Warner Brothers, I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like they're doing everything in their power to wipe out the Looney Tunes because recently they dropped their entire library from the Max app. You can't even find the classics anymore on the app. So, the topic
Terrible.
that I wanted to jump on that one was, what do you guys think of that controversy regarding, the Warner Brothers and their practices against the Looney Tunes?
It's stupid. It's stupid
Plain and simple.
because yeah, literally plain and simple. And it's funny you bring that up
Mm-hmm.
because I took a screenshot of this. I was updating Max on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
That's the app,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a screenshot of this. What's that? Looney Tunes. You can't really see it right now because of the screen,
Right.
but it's Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
It was updating, and it shows on there that hey, you want to watch Looney Tunes? Well, guess what? It's on Max.
Mm-hmm.
I look into Max, and guess what I find? Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't find the classic cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's for, I really don't know. I don't know why Warner Brothers is so bent on getting rid of the past,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to their classic, animation projects. Here's another classic one that maybe you might have seen it, you might not have. Cats Don't Dance.
Yes.
I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard or seen of that. Okay, Sam, you have.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, it kind of fell in the same thing as a cult following kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up when you guys can. You should look it up too, viewer. But definitely look it up. Cats Don't Dance is one of the classic 2D animations that Warner Brothers released straight to VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like they also gave that movie a vote of no confidence.
Yeah.
When in fact, it's beautifully animated. It's a musical. It's beautifully sung, beautifully acted. It's one of the best films of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that not a lot of people know about it or let alone even want to talk about it is just like, because one thing that I feel like really shifted everybody's momentum, I guess you could say, was Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, Disney, yeah, they did try it again with The Princess and the Frog. They tried to bring back the classic 2D animation. Didn't do so hot. But the moment Frozen came out, you had every little girl from 8 years old to 30 years old singing Let It Go.
Yes.
And from there, Disney found their golden goose.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been trying to recreate that ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But We're not talking about Disney. We're talking about Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they always give 2D animation a vote of no confidence. They always have.
And then
Going all the way back to Cats Don't Dance.
before you continue, let me add, Disney, you're coming up next, so don't think you're gonna be on the hot seat. 'Cause you're coming up next. Okay, go
You're
on,
next.
Jake.
So Warner Brothers has constantly given animation a vote of no confidence. Whether it's a DC animated film or even a Looney Tunes animated film, it's either going to go straight to HBO Max, straight to DVD, straight to streaming, or just given little to no publicity to tell people that love the classic Looney Tunes cartoons, hey, remember these guys that you used to watch way back when on Boomerang? Well, we got a brand new animated movie for you guys. This is for you. This is a love letter from us to you. No, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
That's
And
the worst thing possible.
I don't know if you guys saw the film or even have even heard of it or seen clips of it, but the film is literally a freaking love letter to classic Looney Tunes. It just, if it's drawn like modern day Looney Tunes, but the humor and the way it's written and the music, everything is literally like you're watching classic Looney Tunes. If you haven't seen it, and that includes the viewer as well, you need to see that. You literally need to go see it at the movie theater now that it's still there.
You know what's crazy is that Warner Brothers has such a great library that they do not. They just push it to the side,
They
man.
do.
I mean,
So I
and
just sorry, Freddie. So I was looking at a article here on Deadline about why they removed Looney Tunes because they're trying to prioritize adult and family programming.
See,
I'm like, isn't Looney Tunes a family program? You know, like you get your kids to watch with you. You know, you can have family time with them and sit down and watch some cartoons or whatever. But I mean, it just comes down to, it always comes down to money and greed for these companies. You know, Max, it's owned by, Discovery or Warner Brothers, whatever their whole merger is. I don't even know what their name is now.
yeah.
Discovery, Warner Brothers, something.
Time Warner Cable.
Warner,
Comcast.
Comcast.
Looney Tune killers.
Yeah. So anyway, they got rid of a bunch. Even that a while back ago, they made that announcement too that they were removing all of like Sesame Street from Max.
Yeah, I think Cartoon Network is also getting the axe as
Yeah,
well.
Boomerang was shut down because you could watch some of the stuff that was Boomerang on Max back in the day, whenever they had it on
Last
there.
week.
But yeah, so yeah, it's ridiculous. So
All of us grew up watching Looney Tunes with our folks. Like that was our thing. Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, or
Freaking Bugs Bunny and
siblings or
Tweety
your-
Show
or your
and Looney Tunes
cousins
Show.
or-
We'd all sit down and watch
Yeah.
it and laugh with our folks. Am I right or wrong?
oh yeah, man. I mean, I have a nice memory of my parents and I. We would make breakfast and we would I would have my pancakes and eggs and sausage, and we would sit down and watch Looney Tunes. And my favorite man, I forgot his name. He's that dog that has like a little bit of red hair, almost like a mullet.
Hey, Sam.
Droopy, little Droopy.
Droopy.
Droopy, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is that you connected with a lot of these characters. Like you had your favorite characters from those Looney Tunes, and I don't understand the direction that Warner Bros. Is taking, right? Because you got a lot of these great films, well, shows and films too, right? Because I mean, if you look back, you're talking about like movies that go, The Iron Giant, right? Quest for Camelot, Cats Don't Dance, you mentioned, Space Jam, Batman,
Space
Max
Jam.
yeah, it's
Phantasm.
yep, and also Teen Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a list here of possible great projects to expand on that people still like.
Yeah.
I mean, and so it breaks my heart when you told me, Jake, when that there was a possibility of a Batman Beyond reboot, because I've been waiting for that for so long.
See, I heard about that as well when they announced it and they canceled it, and the first person I thought of was Jake, because I know that he's been a huge fan of the Beyond series for like as long as I've known him. He's always liked Batman Beyond. So yeah, see, there it is right there.
Boom.
I love Batman in general, dude.
I mean,
It's insane.
I'm pretty sure you
He
guys have
calls
seen the
himself Bat
Batman
Knight.
Beyond movie, The Return of the Joker. That movie was like, I cannot believe how amazing it was for a straight to video movie. You know, it felt like it would have been one that you could see in the movie theater.
Right.
But Warner Brothers doesn't give it any hope. That's the problem, and now we're seeing it more with this freaking merger.
They want to prioritize adult and family programming. But it's like if you
Well,
guys already
we're
have
getting rid
it.
of the family programming.
No, but the thing is like it's you have it already. You have this, this catalog. Just put it on there. Like what does it hurt to just have it there?
And see, that's the one thing I love about Disney is that
somebody.
yes, they've done a lot of stuff that I'm not happy about. And once again, Disney, you're in the hot seat next time, so don't think you're getting all comfortable. At least they've kept all their library. You know, I've seen their Disney afternoon cartoons like Chippendales, DuckTales, Tailspin. You know, even the Saturday cartoons like Recess and Pepper Ann. They brought all that stuff into the app. They're not getting rid of it. But Warner Brothers, they're literally trying to. I'm gonna wipe it all out, and I'm gonna pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
Because
it pisses me off.
you got it, and then they complain about people not subscribing or they don't got all these monthly subscriber goals that they're trying to reach or whatever. But if you have it there, you'll have some of those people that want to watch some of that stuff and
Exactly.
and will subscribe just for that. So it's like a bonus. Just have it there. It doesn't hurt
Exactly.
you to have it.
Yeah, and I mean it helps other people as well that are of course much younger than us, have an opportunity to see some of these cartoons, and they may like it too, man. Like they may enjoy it and say, hey, that's great that I have
Or even
access
like
to it.
it sparks their creativity, right? Like they look at that and they're like, man, I want to do that. Like I want to learn how to draw like this or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah. See that? And you want to say something, Jake?
I was just looking on Max right now because there's a show that I watched a long time ago that it's not there. Static Shock.
Oh wow, they got rid of. Yeah, see, that was
It's
one of the
not
ones
there.
that got wiped out during the Cartoon Network. Snap like Thanos did.
Yeah, literally, dude. Because that right there is another show. I feel like a lot of these things, a lot of the shows and movies we're talking about, I feel like are going to have the same label of cult following because a lot of them were either not watched as much or not promoted as much. And the next thing you know, it was pushed aside completely, which is like, it's absolutely terrible and kind of criminal because you're not just putting away an animated show. You're putting away animators, voice actors, producers, stencil artists, concept artists, all of these people that worked on these shows, they're gone.
Yes.
And it's almost like we're trying to erase the past to embrace the future when it's like, no, 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 no. Respect the past and then embrace the future. But at the end of the day, Warner Brothers, I think they're allergic to money. Quite frankly, I think they are because show of hands, how many of you think you would have watched a animated style like the Spider-Verse movies, Batman Beyond movie?
100%.
100%. It's a no-brainer. But it doesn't make any sense. I can't wrap my head around it because it's like Warner Brothers, you had something. You had gold. You found an egg, turned out to be a golden goose, and you decided to make duck a la mode. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What, in fact, are we doing anymore? We've lost the plot.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And
It seems like
and now they're doing the exact same thing that they did to Batman Beyond. They did it with the Acme versus Coyote film. Thank goodness for Catch Up Entertainment because if it wasn't for them, that movie would cease to exist at this point. And I mean, you could tell the love that the fans had for that movie, even though they have never seen it. How much support it was getting. The actors that worked on it, the director, the freaking guy who wrote the score. Everybody wanted this film to come out, and then right when they were done with it, Warner Bros. Was like, okay, well, we need money, so tax write off. Exactly what George is doing. Exactly.
They wipe their hands clean of it,
Yeah.
which is so stupid.
And you know that
Use
that
it as
film is
toilet
going
paper.
to make buttloads of money when it comes out.
Right.
The only reason the new Looney Tunes film didn't get that much hype is, once again, nobody knew it was coming out. They thought the movie was canceled because I had heard about it for a long time. As a matter of fact, I think it was supposed to come out last year, like late last year, and then they moved it up to February. I thought it was canceled. The only reason I found out that it was out is because I was on the voice actor's Instagram and he was announcing that it was releasing in theaters. If I would have not known that, I would have never known that it was out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Warner Brothers. They write off whatever they think is not going to make the money. Like, I know it's not animation, but the Batgirl film. Y'all heard about that one, right?
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, that girl film.
The one
It
that
will
Never had
never
a
see the
chance.
light of day.
never. Then once again, another film that was, I think they said it was done filming, and they just
It
Yeah,
was
it was
done,
done,
wrapped
yeah.
up,
yeah.
done editing, done acting, done CGIing. It was ready to go, ready to ship out, and Warner Brothers threw it in the bin.
Jesus, that's what I'm saying. They're doing the same thing that they did to all this animation that we've had in the past. They're doing the same thing to these movies that they think are not going to make any money. And I think maybe the reason why they got rid of the Batgirl film is because of the whole James Gunn DC universe thing. Might be a factor. I don't know. Who knows?
Possibly.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
I don't know, man. I'm just happy that Ketchup decided to take on the lead and buy the film rights for Acme versus Coyote, because now we can actually enjoy that film. So, anything else
Absolutely.
you guys want to add on this topic? Because I know there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
Don't just don't give no confident votes.
Mhm.
Just don't vote it out before it's even hit the press. Like let's give these things a shot. Let's give these movies a chance, and let's actually promote it like we actually care about our own product.
Right. Freddie?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely, man. Take a risk. I mean, it's the only way you'll know if there's an audience for it, which there is,
Mhm.
and it's more of them finding out that, oh wow, there was millions of people that wanted to watch this, right? Because I know for a fact a Batman Beyond movie would have been great, man. It would have people. I know people would have been lined up to see that, man.
Yeah. And the style of Spider-Verse? Oh my god, even better.
Oh yeah, yeah. The animation is great. I really enjoyed watching. I would say that type of animation.
Mhm.
It's fresh. It's new. Something that I would say has not really been seen besides maybe shell shading,
Hmm.
a cell shading type of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I love the way they designed that. Well, at least animated that. It was very intriguing.
And that's what I like about companies like Disney and Columbia, Sony. They take risks. They took a risk with Spider-Man, and look what happened.
Right.
Mhm.
The same thing with DreamWorks. They took a risk with Puss in Boots, a new style animation, and I think the movie won an Academy, if I'm not mistaken.
What's crazy is that Spider-Man, that was definitely I think that was a gamble for sure because
Huge
you had all these Spider-Man movies in real life, right?
Mhm.
Like Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and stuff like that, and
Hobie.
Kobe. Yeah, can't forget the original, right?
Mhm.
The OG, and it was always like a live in person type of movies, right?
Mhm.
So for them to just throw this like a almost kind of like shot in the dark, say, hey, you know what, let's make a movie with this type of animation and let's put it in theaters. Like they didn't think about, hey, let's do it to like, straight to home, right? It's
Mhm.
like, no, let's promote this, let's put this out
Mhm.
and give it a chance. And I mean, it paid dividends, man. I mean, definitely wanted,
Mhm.
awesome film, and especially its successor, right, as well.
Mhm.
Awesome films.
Yeah, it definitely paid off for him, and Spider-Man as a character is huge. Like just the name alone, Spider-Man, it has some weight to it. But yeah, they definitely took a risk there, and then it definitely they needed that now because all their trash garbage that they've done, like Morbius and Craven the
Madam Web.
Hunter and Madam Web,
Mm-hmm.
all Sony movies. Of course, they're live action,
Yeah.
but still, just they wasted so much money on that garbage when they could have been using it for, stuff like their Spider-Verse movie, which is now coming out till 2027, I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could have said, you know what, let's focus all our attention on putting this out here, like, this third Spider-Verse film,
Yeah.
and not do this live action stuff like Craven and Madam
Mm-hmm.
Web and
Yeah.
Morbius and then they're huge disappointments, huge flops, lost millions and millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so and then now it puts the pressure on all these studios trying to now figure out like, oh, like, should we do these, animated movies, or do we do live action and blah blah blah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just creates more chaos for them when you just try to do all kinds of stuff and get your hands in different pots and stuff. So
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
focus on a thing.
I
Unfortunately,
know.
like you said earlier, George, that the franchise is dead. The Spider Universe movies that Sony was releasing, they're no more.
Hmm.
Waste
You
of
know.
time.
I know this might veer off from the main topic,
Yeah.
but don't you feel like nowadays films are playing a little too safe as far as what they're
Yeah,
churning out?
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I feel like that affects films like these that could have been major blockbuster hits,
Mm-hmm.
but they just want to stay within this
Comfort zone.
cir- comfort zone, that because they know if it fails, they can blame it on it. It's like, well, there was not an audience for it. This is
Mm-hmm.
like, it's kind of like the Morbius movies and stuff. Like, well, it's just, but it like for them, it's like, I won't get in trouble with my major studio like Warner Bros. Or something, or Sony, because I'm playing it safe, which means that I can still make movies because I didn't try to say, hey, let me throw this really radical idea, and if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna get murdered by my own studio. Um, which I feel like that's what's happening. That now everybody's just kind of playing it safe with these movies, man. And
Hmm.
I don't know, man. It feels like we're losing that creativity.
Yeah,
Portion.
and I know we're probably getting off a little subject here too, but I
You're
think
good.
about DC Studios
Mm-hmm.
as well, with like their Superman movie that's coming out in July.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, DC Studios just hasn't had really a lot of success throughout the years
Mm-hmm.
with their live action stuff or whatever. But they're almost in a sense playing it safe with this Superman film because they know it has, Superman's a huge name. It has a lot of weight to it, just like Spider-Man. And they're kind of, I guess, they're swinging on the fences, swinging towards the fence or whatever that saying is, swinging to the fences, yada yada. But they really need that to be successful, to be able to continue these studios and produce, all the stuff we want, like the TV animated stuff and series. So yeah, it all comes down to putting out a good product.
Yep. True.
Yep. And even like in the DC animated aspect, it it kind of feels the same thing. Like I keep saying, they give it like that no confidence because they've released so many DC animated projects straight to Max, where I'm like, wait, that's a thing. Like a few years ago, they released a Batman two-parter for the Long Halloween.
Oh, I remember
They
seeing that. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they did another Gotham by Gaslight movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they released a whole animated series of movies around the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot they existed, and I would have completely forgotten had it not been for TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
where I randomly come across a clip of the new Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Mm-hmm.
when it's like, wait, when did Jensen Ackles become the voice of Batman? Like, excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
It's so many things like where they're just not caring enough to tell anybody. It's the biggest letdown of my life, I feel, and of Warner Brothers, because they just don't care anymore. Either they don't care anymore, or somebody's, whispering into the ears of these Warner Brothers executives like they're not welcome here. We don't want those animated movies. They're not going to make us money, when it's like, you know how many nerds are going to line up to watch these movies? I'm one of them.
Mhm.
Release the animated movies, but I mean, it's a sad time we live in, because if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. Well, that's the life we're living now with Hollywood and their stupid choices on what they think us as the audience want to see. You know, it's all about, like Freddie said earlier. Let's stay close to that comfort zone, because if we strive a little bit too far from it, it's not gonna make us any money. That's their
Yeah,
thought.
and they're afraid of losing their jobs, because if you got somebody that's willing to, I would say, play, towards the edge of the cliff of introducing something, new, you are running towards that. Well, if it makes it, then great, right? Like after that is like you're in La La Land, because you just built something that is making money, and then you get all the support. But if it goes the other way, then you're probably looking at being let go, or they're not going to be like, yo, we don't want to go with this director because he just made a stupid movie and made no money, so we don't want none of this. So what happens is, I feel like a lot of these directors are just like, well, I kind of want to still have a job, and so let me appease, the Warner Brothers and what they believe is supposed to work, because it's a safe net, right? Because even if it fails, they know that it was under the safety of Warner Bros. And Warner Bros. Is like, well, okay, cool. I mean, we're still gonna keep trying, because this is still a moneymaker, and so you get another shot right at making another movie. Compared to if you want to go beyond that, then yeah, you're kind of like singling yourself out if it doesn't really work out.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh man, guys. Well, this is awesome, man. I actually enjoyed this discussion. Like, this is what I really wanted. I wanted us to have our thoughts on this animation situation and this controversy behind Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be the last people you're gonna listen to. But if you're somehow hearing this, do better choices. We want to see the stuff that you guys are known for. We know that you guys have the IPs to get it done, and we know that you guys have it. So give us what we want.
Right.
Any closing remarks, guys?
No, I would just say, these studios, man, do better.
Do better.
Want a Batman Beyond movie now?
Yeah.
Hashtag revive Batman Beyond.
Revive Batman Beyond.
my closing statement is, back then I used to think you were cool.
Not no more.
Not no more. Literally not no more. But if we remember, or if Warner Brothers ends up remembering what made them popular in the beginning, I have a feeling they're gonna find that success again. So
Yeah. I know
Wish I
that
thought-
they still have time to bring back the audience that grew up with them, and like I said, all you have to do is give us what we want. Give the audience what they want. Release these films the way they're meant to be released, and stop canceling projects that you think aren't gonna make you any money, like the Batman Beyond movie, and freaking Batgirl.
We're not letting it go.
We're not. It's gonna stay there forever. Even if I have to go on X and tweet it over and over and over to revive the Batman Beyond movie.
I don't know if it's just a stigma, not a stigma, but I don't know if it's just because Marvel has laid their claim in the last decade of successful movies leading to, let's say, Endgame, right? Because I think Endgame was probably one of the biggest things to happen, right, where everybody wanted to watch that movie,
Right.
and of course, the DC in that aspect has not really done that great. So now they're being more picky about what they want to put on the big screen, compared to maybe. I'm just saying maybe. I mean, there could be a lot. Of course, there's other factors, but I feel like Marvel, they've been living under Marvel's shadow for the last decade as far as big films go, right? Like live action.
Yeah, they have, and
Mhm.
Marvel has owned that whole cinematic universe trend forever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've also gone down too, but that's a topic for another time. But um, they did have that claim up until Endgame, and I think even Spider-Man: No Way Home kind of revived it, and so did the new Deadpool film. But I don't think anybody else is gonna be able to touch that cinematic universe trend like Marvel did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's gonna
And
be
it.
a long shot.
Mhm.
right.
But okay, guys, well, this was great. George, Freddie, Jake, it was awesome having you guys on tonight. Once
Yes,
again,
sir.
look them up on their socials. They'll be at the bottom of the description. Look it up. Freddie, Digital Bytes, Jake's TikTok, and George's Hypeline Supply, little digital store that he's got going on.
Hmm.
Definitely give them all follows. I would really appreciate it. And this was fun, guys.
Well, thank you for having
Yes,
us.
sir.
No, thank you
Yes,
for being
sir.
here, and everybody. Hopefully, we can bring back this movie talk vlog at some point. Like I said, we're gonna keep it on YouTube. We're doing live streams, but the previous ones became lost media, so we're gonna keep them all straight on because we had some really good ones. But we're gonna bring back those topics, and that way we can do a vlog about it. We can just go ahead and just have more detailed conversation about it. But all right, homies, thanks again for everything. Audience, y'all have a good night.
Your next
Yeah.
Disney.
There's that look. Have a good one, guys.